Darren Tuttle here. It's storm season in Oklahoma, and with that comes torrential rain, high winds, and hail. To protect your home and your family from these threats, the one roofing company you should trust is Ferguson Roof Systems. They've been providing the best in roofing services for nearly half a century. Ferguson is Oklahoma's full-service roofing company, certified with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and a 5-star rating on Google. And with Ferguson now offering Class 4 impact-resistant shingles, now is the time to trust them with your home's roof. Get started today at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
Hey everyone, Meteorologist Darren Tuttle back with you. It is a lunchtime live weather update, so this will be rather short and to the point of the storms that are out there across Oklahoma. So take a look at radar, show you what the forecast is for the rest of the afternoon, tell you whether or not there's still going to be a potential for a tornado or two and where that would be located. So thanks for joining me. Make sure you like and share this video. Tell your friends and family about AT's weather. If you're watching right now on YouTube, hit the like button. If you're watching right now on Rumble, hit the Rumble button. If you're on Twitter, hit the heart button. And if you're on Facebook, hit the like button. That way the algorithms know that you've got some good content and it'll keep showing it to you. So there you go. Also on Facebook, if you're having trouble getting notified when you go live, I say this just about every broadcast, hit the button, the link I just posted below where you can opt in and I will send you direct notification through your Facebook Messenger when I do go live. That way you don't miss a broadcast and you're always on time because nobody wants to be LTTP. All right, take a look outside. We've got 61.9 degrees in my backyard. Got some clouds out there and also pretty good round of some showers and some rain, even some heavier rain at that in some cases, depending on where you're located. Take a look here at the radar view across central Oklahoma and here in the metro area specifically. On the north side, Oklahoma City from around the Edmond area, some heavy rainfall mixed in with a little bit of lightning associated with that activity. South of there, on the south side of town, around Blanchard, Noble, also some heavy rain. In between, sprinkles, light passing showers. Off to the east, also some moderate rainfall there. Not a whole lot of lightning with this activity. We did have some overnight, obviously. It probably woke some of you up in the early morning hours that weren't quite ready to start the day. And then down here in southwest Oklahoma, some thunderstorms down here around Geronimo, Walters with some lightning associated with that. But otherwise, no severe weather currently in the state, but some much beneficial and much needed rainfall. Temperatures out there, so far we haven't warmed up too much in the 60s and 70s. If you look at the current readings, we're still into the 60s out there and 70s, so no really big change. And the winds really aren't that strong. They're mainly out of the kind of a southeasterly fetch, around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Occasionally, you're going to get a few gusts, especially as you head out into western Oklahoma and the Panhandle region. As we talked about, the rainfall amounts of the last 24 hours still continue to add up. So these little green areas that you see on the map right here and here and here from Canadian County, southwest Oklahoma County, onward to the west along I-40, even a little spot up here north and east, south of Ponca City. All these areas getting some rainfall up around an inch, so we definitely could use more of that good stuff. Satellite viewpoint shows in the red the heavy thunderstorms that are rolling on through this pocket here in central Oklahoma and down here in southwest and also in the Panhandle. Otherwise, this blanket shield of cloud cover moving on through. So again, not a whole lot of instability to work with today. Storm Prediction Center has revamped their severe weather threat to be mostly into Texas. Yes, so it took out most of Oklahoma. It does have a slight risk in yellow up here in the southwestern quadrant of Oklahoma, bounded by I-40 and I-35 really. And the tornado, where'd it go? Remember last night, Storm Prediction Center, Weather Service, had it up in this region. Well, guess where they did? They did a flip-flop. And so now it's down here in this region of southwest Oklahoma and northwestern Texas. So again, this is another reason why I do not like talking about tornadoes or forecasting tornadoes beyond 48 hours. Why? This is a case in point. Way too many things can change, and you're warning the wrong people to worry about tornadoes when you should be warning the right people. Now, the right people would have been these guys down here. Did they get that warning yesterday? No, because the warning was up here. So that makes no sense. So that's why your error skill decreases horribly after 48 hours. And even within that 48 hours, this is a huge change. And there are situations like this where that does happen. And we alluded that to here as to why that would happen because of storms that would develop early in the morning and continue off and on throughout the day. And that really complicates things and makes things very difficult when you're trying to forecast long term. Long term meaning, again, within a couple, 2 to 3 days when you're trying to talk about tornado placement. It just doesn't work out very well. So sometimes the day of the event is all you get. And that's why we're here today for lunchtime for you. Otherwise, golf ball size hail in most of the storms, 60 to 80 mile per hour winds and tornado potential low. Outlined here by the storm by the National Weather Service. In other words, they kind of increase this little region here, probably just for pockets of some wind and hail. A little bit different than the Storm Prediction Center within that. By the way, when was this made? Yeah, that was the latest update. There'll be a new update. Actually, it probably just came out. Let me go back to that one. Was that the new one? probably why they took northwestern quadrant out of the picture, is my guess. Let me see. Yeah, probably they're just not synced yet. That's okay. So let me see here. Tornado risk down here in southwest Oklahoma in the green shady, but you notice the big blue region. In other words, this is one of those freak events. Can't rule it out. Something odd were to happen. Saturday severe. If you notice that, there really isn't any. The state's going to be under a lot of dry air right now in the data, so there's not really any inclination that will become a problem currently. When you look at severe weather for tonight, out of the metro area of Tulsa, not a big deal. Neither is really most of eastern Oklahoma. So again, mostly a western, southwestern Oklahoma event. The algorithms, kind of like a little green area, just a generic paintbrush of the lowest probability there is for a tornado here across the western half of the state. Also for some hail and some wind. So the algorithms are not all that excited. In this other one that we look at sometimes, it also has lowered. It was a 5% last night. It's only a 3% now. But it also favors the southwestern quadrant of the state. Does, though, come into Oklahoma City Metro. We talked about that last night, how you still could get a freak storm that comes in here. I'll show you a little bit of the data that does suggest that could happen. Here's a look at the midday to afternoon hours. This is the jet stream pattern, which shows you the energy rotating through. So we have the lift in the atmosphere. If we do have a look at the winds, though, upper levels for mid-afternoon, we do have a little bit of a jet streak that comes through across the southern half of the state, kind of diffuses up to the north. As we go into the evening hours, really diminishes out in this area, continues in southern Oklahoma. So any storms that kind of help to stay in this environment right here, we'll still be able to tap into that. Otherwise, the jet streak's moving away pretty quick. So the storms will lose their punch rather quickly after dark. Okay, so here's a look at the lower level lift in the atmosphere around, let's go back, let me see, let's do this. All right, so here's lunchtime. So it obviously has stronger lift up to our east, but still continues down to our south and southwest. So the lift will continue to help to produce the cloud cover and some showers and storms. So scattered in nature, keep the umbrellas handy. As the evening hours, there's that stronger lift down here in southwest Oklahoma, and that would continue to move along the Red River Valley. Like I said, kind of trying to keep up with the jet stream. Storms here is indicative of that brighter color in southern Oklahoma. If we look at the moisture profile across the state, so let's go to 5-6 o'clock. So why is that area now the favorite area for potential storms? Well, because of the rain and the cooler temperatures, we get what we call a meso high. So a meso high is almost like a little mini area of high pressure that develops because of the cold air and more stable air, and that kind of forces a east to southeast wind to develop. All right, so in this particular case, we're trying to get a developing dry line in this area. It's just not having much luck because we don't really have enough of the upper level support for it to change this pattern enough. But we do have enough of these two air masses to try to get some convergence going, and that happens to be in this little sweet spot right here. This is where you have a wind that comes in like so, and then does a little turning. This is where you have winds that come in like this. So you have kind of basically a surface low pressure area, kind of like a little triple point that forms down here in the southwest Oklahoma, right along the Red River. And so that's where the focus for the more stronger severe storms will be, with the better shear and the better moisture convergence in the atmosphere. So if I were to take a forecast sounding for the Wichita Falls area, to kind of give you an example of that, the possible hazard type is tornado, by the way, within that little zone. So that's what we have here. Also, hail size is 2.5 inches, so maybe tennis ball size hail, baseball size hail possible, because the ship model is over a value of a 2. Cape value's up around 3,000, shear around 250, so all this is plenty for tornadogenesis. And then down here, because of that little sweet spot where moisture will condense, that thickens up a little bit in the lower levels, which means you have less of a dew point depression like we talked about last night, where most areas had too much of a dew point depression. This is a little favored teeny tiny area. Wind speeds are still a little weak, though. That's a limiting factor. But otherwise, looks like we could get a couple of tornadoes down there into the southwestern quadrant of the state, depending on how storms evolve here for this afternoon. But regardless, that is the reason why that is a favorite spot down there. Okay, so let's take a look now at the next couple of graphics. The lid in the atmosphere, the cap. Let's see here. For surface-based stuff, by the late afternoon and evening, kind of hit and miss in this area. We see the clear spots. That's where there is no cap present, but you do see where it does try to build in spots. So that will be fighting that area, but I still think there'll be a couple of storms that manage to break free, and that cap builds rather quickly in this zone. So any storm that does move through out of there eastward will be moving into an environment that's becoming increasingly hostile for its longevity. Let's see. Let's take a look here at the fixed tornado parameter. Again, very low on the scale, but maximized in this area here in southwestern and south central Oklahoma. So again, not a huge signal there. Cape values and shear overlaid. Let's see, where are we? To the 5 and 6 o'clock. Right around here. On the NAM model, again, kind of favors this zone the most. And what else we got? Okay, so let's take a look at some of the output from the radar for the models. So we've got the storms, obviously the showers I'm moving through now. It does continue to regenerate a little bit more. See this little wave right here that comes through and flowers and moves north and east. A little weak disturbance kicking through. So during the mid-afternoon, that moves out. And then we have a little pocket, maybe a little bit better heating and destabilization out here in southwest Oklahoma. So these will move through into central Oklahoma by drive time to early evening. More bubbling up in southwest Oklahoma, and then it kind of favors these little stronger storms down here around the Wichita Falls area, southern counties of the state, kind of into northwestern Texas. We're still getting a little bit of activity here in central Oklahoma through the evening hours, occasional rumbles of thunder. Northwest Oklahoma, southern Kansas getting just a teeny tiny bit. There's Tulsa through 2 o'clock in the morning still getting some rain, and there's some more stuff out in eastern Oklahoma overnight into early tomorrow morning. So that's kind of how the rest of today will go according to that data. Now we do have some other models. This one is the one that's really likes to get out of control sometimes. Every now and then it's got a nugget. What it knows what it's talking about. But what it says is you might get a strong hailmaker kind of running near the I-40 corridor and then running to the east. Other models have the same outcome, a little bit more to the south, also running east. So really from I-40 south to that quadrant kind of we talked about, to I-35 is the kind of the bounding line of where you have just enough ingredients to where that may become an issue. If we look at the experimental model, same idea. Occasional scattered showers and thunderstorms that roll through. And see this what I'm saying right here, 5 or 6 o'clock. See this guy right here? So the signal with this is a Helicity track, which indicates large hail damaging winds, but sometimes in the right environment, that also can mean a tornado. So the environment that it's coming into isn't the best. But it's not, zero either. It'd be a freak occurrence, but there's enough shear and instability to at least warrant a brief discussion. But there's still pretty decent dew point depression there here in central Oklahoma. So it's a marginal tornado. So it's not certainly not a guaranteed. But again, any storms that comes in out of this quadrant, again, I-40, I-35 that moves through, will have to be watched just for a freak occurrence of a potential tornado. The tech model, same idea. It likes a potential Helicity track there in southwestern Oklahoma. It gets here into the south central parts of central Oklahoma, on the south side of, say, the metro, for example. There's another one out in western Oklahoma. There's a couple more. And again, some of these are probably more likely just some hail along with those, especially we head into the evening hours. There's 9 o'clock. Some of those still going on, though, around 9 and 10 o'clock. And then that little cluster of storms moves to the south and east and becomes just a multicellular garbage cluster, which means supercell structures are pretty much over with. And at that point in time, you have small pockets of wind and hail, but usually no big deal. All right, so that is a look at all of that. Rainfall amounts, again, the models won't be the exact placement, but what the take home here is how you can get these streaks of very heavy precipitation, kind of like we saw today and overnight. And anywhere where you do get these streaks, you do have the potential for some flash flooding. Now, obviously, this model went really crazy. It went almost 6 inches of rain in this area between Stillwater and Tulsa, so that could lead to some brief flash flooding in that area. This includes the overnight rain tonight into early tomorrow morning, which is why it's favored this area so much more. But obviously, the big corridor here for most of the action for the late afternoon and evening is going to be in this quadrant, and Oklahoma State kind of in between, where we are going to get a little bit of a taste in the action. All right, temperatures as a result this afternoon, quite a bit cooler, as you can imagine, with the cloud cover and the rain. So we go into the afternoon, we're 60s here in central Oklahoma. So again, that limits the instability. 70s out in southwest. We talked about that last night. There's just not a whole lot of instability to work with this storm event, so it is not really a big deal. I know some people were asking me earlier that some people were comparing this to May 3rd. I don't know why. Anyone who compares anything to May 3rd is an idiot, and you should laugh them out of the building and say, shut up, or shut the F up, and please stop talking about May 3rd because you're a moron. It's one of those deals where some people just can't let things go and just let each event be its own. You don't have to compare something to something from 10, 20, 30 years ago just to get more likes and clicks and get your adrenaline going. It's idiotic. So, obviously, as you can tell, I'm not a big fan of morons on the internet. But regardless, let's see. So temperatures will be from Friday into Friday afternoon. We're going to warm up. How about those 80s? How about those 90s? That's 96 in Lawton, by the way. Still nice in Tulsa area because you still have some leftover clouds and some rain that will move through. And then on Saturday, this is where things get really ugly. Are you ready for this? Ugh, I'm not ready. 95, 96 degrees popping up out here in parts of western central Oklahoma. Ugh. Now, you can't get any storms with that because too much dry air. So that's the benefit for the weekend. Otherwise, temperatures on Saturday and Sunday right around 90 in the metro. We'll cool things down finally a little bit, little by little, from Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then into next week. Again, the pattern change, just to let you know, will be quite a bit more active for May than it has been for most of April, which means we'll have to watch. And you're not, and let me put this to you this way. You will not always have 7 days of hype for a potential severe weather day that may include or may not include tornadoes, all right? Sometimes the models will be completely dry and they'll all of a sudden flip and then something will sneak up on you. It'll be 24 hours out. So this time of year that can happen. So you might have a dry forecast. It looks like, the cap's going to be really strong. We'll have a southwest wind. The dry line's too far east, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of things like that may look like that one day. And the next day we come in, and now all of a sudden the models have backed off all of that solution. Everything's reorganized, revamped, redrawn, and now you're back into a risk of severe storms. You're like, well, what happened? I thought it was supposed to be dry tomorrow. So this time of the year, unfortunately, it is what it is. It's the way it is, the limitations of the science. Again, one day will be better than that. But we're doing pretty good, overall from where we were just 10 or 20 years ago. Okay, so that's pretty much it for me. I'd love to take your questions, everything else. Julie, no, I am not a big fan of morons on the internet. I'm sure most of you aren't either. They can be entertaining sometimes, but that's about the end of that. All right, I got to get out of here. I'll watch things this afternoon carefully. If I do see a potential for a tornado somewhere, obviously I'll be cutting in live for that. But the meanwhile, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rain. Stay dry. Keep your umbrellas handy, as it will be a soggy off and on afternoon for many of us across Oklahoma. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like and share the video. Tell your friends and family about AT's Weather. Don't forget to get my weather app, AT's Weather to Go, Apple and Google Play stores. It's free. It predicts tornadoes. And finally, join me Saturday in El Reno for the Big Burger Day Festival. I will be out there. Hope to see you out there as well. All right, take care, everybody.